Hey guys, Marissa at KitchenTableStamper.com. Today, as part of my retirement series, I have this fun birthday card for you. And let me warn you right from the start of this video, if you're watching it today, the stamp set we're using today is on low inventory. It's retirement time and it could sell out any moment. So if you like this Balloon Adventures, you might want to pop over to my web store and pick it up. There's a link below if you're watching on YouTube, and if you're watching on the blog, just click the Shop Now button. So we're going to be using Balloon Adventures. This is retiring from the Stampin' Up! Occasions catalog. It's available now while supplies last, but it's on low inventory. We're also going to be using the Balloon Pop-Up Thinlits dies on this card. Another retiring products here, we're using the Fiesta embossing folder. And let's see here, a couple other things. We're going to use the Party Animal Designer Series washi tape. This is also retiring. I've got my balloon bouquet punch. Stamp pads for this project, Pacific Point, Emerald Envy, and Tangerine Tango. All right, let's go through the paper supplies we'll need for this project. I took the smallest scraps I had of Pacific Point, Emerald Envy, and Tangerine Tango. We're making a balloon from each of these, so you don't need much. And then my card base is Tangerine Tango, and it is 11 inches by 4 1/4 and scored at 5 1/2. I have a scrap of Whisper White cardstock. This particular scrap is 1 1/4 by 4 1/4. The scrap is for this banner here. I made it nice and dimensional, so we're gonna stamp that on a separate layer and pop it out. These two Whisper White cardstock pieces are for die cutting our balloon frame and then for layering the washi tape underneath. So these measurements are more important than the scrap. Let's see here. We have a layer that's 3 1/2 by 5. This is the layer that you're going to die cut. Then we have a Whisper White panel that's 1/8 inch smaller. That's the one we're going to do washi tape on. 3 3/8 by 4 7/8. Okay, and while we've got that piece, let's get started. We'll put our washi tape design on this panel. Okay, I've got my 3 tapes here, and we're just gonna start with this polka dot multicolor pattern. I love this pattern. Just run a width of it all the way against the bottom and all the way across. Then we're gonna use the star pattern. Then this multicolor stripe pattern, and you want to butt each tape up against the last one. Then we've got this little diagonal Tangerine Tango stripe. See, so we're starting to build our pattern paper. Now we want to rinse and repeat. Back to the multicolor polka dot and then the star. Now I've got this color block pattern, and I want to show you how I'm laying this out so that different colors show on each stripe. All right, I'm going to finish this. I'll repeat my pattern all the way up to the top, and then we'll cut back in. Okay, I'm up to the very top here. I'm just adding my last pattern of washi. Now we're going to lift it up off of the mat and trim off the excess. Okay, so we've got our background all trimmed out. Let's do our die cutting now. We're going to grab this fun pop out from the Balloon Pop-Up Thinlits. And we're going to cut our 3.5 by 5 inch piece of Whisper White. I'll get the Big Shot, be right back. I've got the Big Shot set up here with a magnetic platform, and I'm looking at the cutting side of the die. What I want to do here is center my 3.5 inch Whisper White cardstock right to left. It'll go right to the edge of this die. And then I want to turn over and make sure that there's about 1/4 inch in this little window here. All right, so we'll place that on the magnetic platform and run it through. Now we can just peel off the frame here and leave all the negative space intact on the die. I'll clean that off with the die brush later. And there's our fun little balloon frame. Set that aside. Let's do our embossing while we've got the Big Shot here. Now we need the Big Shot platform that came with the machine, and we need 2 cutting pads. So we'll put our cutting pad down. Now, what we need to do with the Festive Embossing folder is make sure that our pattern repeats pleasantly on our card base. And we also need to make sure that it embosses on the front outside of our card and not the inside. So I've got it so that the bumped up design is on the bottom. And put the card front in there all the way up to the score line. And then what I'm going to do is audition my pattern. I want it to start and begin similarly. That's just how I roll. So I'm going to move this pattern or this cardstock over until we get to a place where the pattern starts at the same streamer as it ends on. Okay, so I'm comparing my fold and making sure that it runs even along the bottom of the folder, and I'm then looking at my streamers to make sure that they run straight along the edge of the card. Drop that in the machine, add our top cutting pad, and emboss. All right, so there's our pattern. It's bumped up on the outside just like we like it, and it starts and ends in the same place. All right, we're gonna do our stamping now, and I just wanted to point out that I am gonna use this polka dot balloon for all of my balloons, but there are 3 different balloons and 3 different color inks, so you could get crazy and do all 3 different patterns, and you don't have to clean your stamp in between. That's good if you're mass producing, if you're gonna make, a half a dozen birthday cards at the same time. Or you can use just stripes, or you can make just solid balloons. But we're gonna use this polka dot one here. And I'm gonna start with my Tangerine Tango. And you know what? I wanna make sure I tell you about this. Okay. So we are punching this bigger balloon, so we want to be careful about how we stamp our balloon. That way we can make the best use of our cardstock. So you see, I'm going to slide my paper in from the right, and the balloon's tail, the balloon's tie is going to be down. So that's how we want to stamp our paper. There's my first balloon. Let me wipe away the ink. And now the Emerald Envy. This one's pretty simple. We just got a long scrap here, so we'll stamp on the end of it so it's easy to punch. And we're switching ink again, so we'll give it a little wipe. And now for this Pacific Point, this really was the smallest scrap I had. How do you like that? We're gonna stamp with the balloon tied down in the left-hand corner for easy punching. And then on our Whisper White, I've got the Tangerine Tango and a little banner here. These images also come in our stamp set. So we're using the banner image and the Party On sentiment. Sorry if my head's in the camera. That looked like maybe just a little hair today. All right, so there's our party on. I'm gonna close up the ink pads and we'll punch and cut and assemble this card. I've got my balloon bouquet punch and my stamped image. We'll punch all these guys out. I love Stampin' Up! Punches. You can get a perfectly cut out image really quick. But I do want to warn you that while you're punching upside down, it's very important to grab this punch like it's a big greasy cheeseburger and you don't want to get it on you. You need to keep your hands away from the punch. You never want to punch with your hands clenched around the punch because you can pinch the palm of your hand in the punch. So if you're going to punch upside down, remember to hold on to this punch like it's a greasy cheeseburger and you don't want to get messy. How's that? Will that help you remember every time you're punching? I don't want anybody to pinch their hands because they're following my example and punching upside down. Okay, so see, I hold my punch, and when I punch, there's no injury. So be very careful. How easy is that, right? All right, we're getting close here. Look at how cute this card is, and it's coming together. All right, this step here, we have to fussy cut. Now, you could send this banner back through your Big Shot with the die that we used to cut the frame, but it's such an easy shape. I find it's actually easier to just do a quick fussy cut than it is to line up that big die. You could cut the scrap with the die and then stamp inside the die cut space. It does work with this die. I just find that it's a little quicker to just grab my scissors and give a trim. See, we're almost done already. Okay, there we go. Let me grab a corner rounder. Now, Stampin' Up! Had a Project Life corner rounder, but it has sold out on the retirement sale. I'm using my We Are Memory Keepers. If I can find you an Amazon link, I'll include that in the blog. But we're gonna use the 1/4 inch side and round our corners on both the frame and our washi pattern paper. Now I'm going to take my snail adhesive and I'm going to generously apply some snail behind each of these balloons and behind the banner. And because we've only got about a 1/4 inch on our frame, I'm going to get out my multi-purpose liquid glue and just sketch some line. You can add a little dot of the liquid glue along the balloon strings too if you want. It'll give them a little more stability if they're tacked down instead of floating free. Okay, everything's all adhesive. Now we're going to apply it over our washi pattern. Looking pretty good, right? All right, then we'll apply this panel to the card front with dimensional adhesive. And I've applied dimensional adhesive to the back of the Tangerine Tango balloon into the back of the banner. Now we'll bring our card base in and we're going to center this frame on the card front. And add our banner. Then with our Emerald's Envy and Pacific Point balloons, we can put some snail adhesive on the back of those guys. Add them to our balloon frame. And then our Tangerine Tango. How cute is that? Now, the last element that I completely forgot to mention was this Emerald's Envy taffeta ribbon. This is all I have left. It's on retirement, it's on sale for $3.60. The Party Animal washi tape we used is on sale for $5.60. The Balloon Adventures and the Balloon Pop-Up Thinlits dies are while supplies last. Okay. Now, This is the only scrap I have left of this, so we're gonna tie this in a bow. And how we're gonna do that is leaving a small tail, we're gonna loop up. Notice there's no twisting, we just fold. I'm going over my index finger here and around the front, keeping everything as tight as I can. Now I'm going to push the other tail through that loop we just made, and look at that, I just barely got it. All right, we'll pull that tight and then hold the knot and pull the tails. Oh, look at that cute little bow to embellishment. I think I'm gonna have to get some more of this. I did check today and it still is in stock, and it is perfect with the new Pick a Pattern paper that's coming June 1st. So let's trim our tails, grab a glue dot, and finish up this card. I just put the ribbon bow over the bow on the die cut, and there they are. Party on. If you've got any questions about Stampin' Up, about this project, if there's anything I can do for you to help you stay crafty, email me, marissa@kitchentablestamper.com. Thanks for watching.